Good morning, class. Today I will explain Chapter 10, Book First Flight, the Sermon at Benaras. Sermon means religious preaching, religious teaching. Gautam Buddha, 563 BC, 483 BC, began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in northern India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry princess. Sacred scriptures. Sacred means holy. Scriptures means religious book. Gautam Buddha was the son of Suddhodana. Suddhodana was the king of Kapilvastu, and it was in the northern India, and his early name was Siddhartha, and he was sent to hermitage to study religious holy books. 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. After completing his education, after 4 years, he returned home. Then his father got him married with a beautiful princess named Yasodhara. They had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty. And after the marriage, Prince Siddharth had a son. The son name was Rahul, and he lived happily 10 years in the palace. At about the age of 25, Prince heretofore shielded from the suffering of the world. And when he was 25 years old, then he decided to end the suffering from the world. While out hunting, chanced upon a sick man, then an aged man, then a funeral procession, and finally a monk begging for alms. When he had gone for hunting, while hunting, he saw a sick man, he saw an old man, and a dead man, and the funeral procession of a dead man. Dead man was being carried to cremation. And at last he saw a monk, hermit, begging alms. These sights so moved him that he at once went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning sorrows he had witnessed. Enlightenment means spiritual knowledge. Then the sight of sick man, old man, and dead man, and the beggar asking alms. These sights has changed the life of Buddha, and he found that this world that appears very beautiful, really this world is full of sorrow. And before it, Siddhartha Gautama, Gautam Buddha, did not know about pains and sorrows of life. When he came to know about them, then he left his palace and started a search for spiritual knowledge concerning sorrows he had witnessed, regarding the sorrows, agonies he had witnessed. Witness means noticed, saw. He wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under a peepal tree where he vowed to stay. And he wandered in whole world for 7 years. After wandering 7 years, he sat down under a tree, and where he vowed until enlightenment came, and he kept on sitting under that tree until he got the spiritual knowledge. Enlightened after 7 days. After 7 days, he got the spiritual knowledge. He returned. He renamed the tree Bodhi tree. Bodhi tree means the tree of wisdom. After getting knowledge under that tree, he renamed that tree as Bodhi tree, the tree of knowledge, and began to teach and share his new understanding. Then he started teaching and sharing his new understanding, whatever he got from the spiritual knowledge. At that point, he became known as Buddha. When he started preaching the word, then after getting the spiritual knowledge, he was known as Buddha. Buddha means awakened or enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon at city of Benaras. After getting spiritual knowledge, Buddha delivered his first speech in the city of Benaras that became famous as Sermon at Benaras. Most holy, the dipping places on river Ganga, and this Benaras is situated at the holy dipping place at the bank of Ganga river. That sermon has been preserved and is given here, and this sermon has been preserved here and delivered by Buddha. It reflects Buddha's wisdom about inscrutable kind of suffering. Inscrutable means something which cannot be understood. This preaching, this religious wisdom was about very hard kind of suffering from which the whole world was suffering. This is the part in which life of Buddha has been discussed. Now in this part another story is given. Kisa Gotami had only son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for a medicine, and the people said she has lost her senses, the boy is dead. There was a lady whose name was Kisa Gotami. She had only one son and her son died, but she loved her son very much, so due to over love for her son, she was not ready to accept that her son was dead. So, taking the dead body in her laps, she was wandering door to door and asking for medicine to revive her son. And people of the village thought that she has lost her sense due to death of her son. At length, Kisa Gotami met a man who replied to her request, I cannot give thee medicine for thy child. Thy means your, thee means you, but I know a physician who can. Then Kisa Gotami met a kind man. That kind man told her that I cannot give a medicine that can revive your son, but I can tell you a physician who can revive your son by giving medicine. And the girl said, Pray tell me, sir, who is it? And the man replied, Go to Sakya Muni, Buddha. Kisa Gotami repaired means went to Buddha and cried, Lord and Master, give me medicine that will cure my boy. And then Kisa Gotami went to the hermitage of Buddha. She requested Buddha to give her medicine that could revive her son, her dead son. Buddha answered, I want a handful of mustard seed. And when the girl, in her joy, promised to procure means get it, Buddha added, the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent or friend. Buddha said, I can revive your son, but only one thing you have to do. You have to bring a handful of mustard seed where no one has ever did. Kisa Gotami could not understand the depth of Buddha's question. Poor Kisa Gotami now went from house to house, and people pitied her and said, Here is mustard seed, take it. But when she asked, Did a son or daughter or father or mother die in your family? They answered her, Alas, living are few, but dead are many. Kisa Gotami went to village. She was wandering door to door asking for a mustard seed. People were ready to give her mustard seed, but when she asked question, no one has ever dead in your family. People used to answer, many are dead, only a few are alive. Do not remind us of our deepest grief, and there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. Then people used to say to Kisa Gotami, कि don't remind them their deepest grief because some beloved one had died.